Awesome. We are live, waiting for people to join us now. I can see the number of participants going up second by second. Thank you everyone for joining. Just as a housekeeping announcement.
Pricing words, no?
Yeah, exactly. So my name is Amelia, and I'm the VP of Marketing at UserPilot, our host today at Product Drive, and this is our first Product Drive talk, so fingers crossed things will go well. And I have Krzysztof Szyszkiewicz here with me, who's our pricing expert, the one and only pricing guy, as you may know him from LinkedIn and numerous SaaS conferences he's been going to. Krzysztof, or Chris, to make it easier for the non-Polish speaking audience, is a partner and co-founder at Valueships, a boutique SaaS pricing consultancy. Chris used to work as a management consultant, specifically focusing on pricing at McKinsey in his previous life. And today we will be talking about pricing monetization. But before I hand the mic over to Chris, just as a gentle reminder to our audience, for those of you who don't know UserPilot yet, UserPilot is an AI-powered product growth platform that combines in-app engagement, so user onboarding, no-code onboarding builder, with product analytics, robust session replay, auto event capture, mobile, in-app feedback, and a number of other features, everything you need to drive your product growth, hence Product Drive. But today we will be talking mostly about AI. If any of you, by the way, have questions for Chris, this is a live talk. Chris, wave to show her live. You can leave your pouring water live. That wasn't
no, it's on my laptop.
Oh no, don't do that to me. Don't you dare. So if anyone wants to ask Chris questions about pricing, we will have a 10-minute Q&A at the end of this presentation webinar. So please pop your questions into the Q&A. We've disabled the chat because it gets messy, but the Q&A is available to you. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We have almost 100 people here in the room waiting for you, Chris, to start. So the floor is yours. I'm handing over. We'll be talking about AI agent monetization and monetization in AI in general.
Guilty as charged, right? So I'm sharing my screen, friends. Do you see my screen?
No.
Okay, so I'm not sharing my screen. Allowed to share screen. Let me screen share, and now you should share my screen.
Yes, now we see your screen.
Coolio. Okay, so the first session of today, I'm super happy to be here, and today we're gonna talk about actually mission possible. So how to price an AI. My name, as Emilka mentioned, is Chris. I'm bearing the hardest name and the surname in the universe, so it's Krzysztof Szyszkiewicz actually. So I go by Chris. I'm co-founder of Valueships. We are a boutique pricing consultancy working with numerous companies on their pricing strategy, and today we're gonna talk about pricing. But before we go there, let me paint a bit of a context for you. So we all in this room, 100 people, we share one thing. Most likely we are sharing more things, but we are definitely sharing one. So we care all about profit, right? Our companies are built for profit, no matter if you are just starting or you are a CEO or a co-founder of company. Like, the ultimate goal is a profit, right? And then when you think about the profit, in order to maximize your profit, you have 4 levers to pull, right? So there is pricing levers, you can make it cheaper or more expensive. There is unit volume, so everything connected to sales, etc. And then fixed cost and variable costs that you can decrease in order to increase your profit. So as a person working in the company, you can treat those 4 things as levers, right? Mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. So one should ask him or herself a question, which lever is the strongest one? And then no matter what research you take into consideration, what you can see here is how 1% of an improvement, how much it creates profitability. So we see that in traditional businesses, pricing is the strongest lever of them all. And one could claim that, yeah, but it doesn't apply to technology. Well, it does. So when you look at SaaS pricing, also monetization is the strongest lever for digital companies, right? And then the first important lesson for today's question, think about your company. Do you have a salesperson? Most likely you do. Do you have a marketing person? Yes, most likely you do. Do you have a pricing or half of an FTE responsible for pricing? Might not be a case. So first lesson, always choose the right lever. And the question is, why we are talking and why pricing is so hot nowadays, right? With all the AI big change, high multipliers, tremendous achievements of the companies, scoring 100 million ARR, blah, 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 in a couple of months, because pricing in AI is bringing us couple of very big changes. So I structured this presentation in a way that at the very beginning of this presentation, we'll dedicate around 5 to 7 minutes to walk you through the most important changes that AI is bringing to pricing. So in total, we identified 8, but for pricing 3, since we don't have like 2 hours here, I just limited myself to 3, despite being super talkative. So that's going to be challenging, but I will do my best. And then we will move into how, but context is necessary so you understand what and then you understand how. So the first change that I bring is work deliver instead of just an access. So you can understand it as a core value metric, right? So as a people in SaaS, the first question that we should ask ourselves is what we should charge for. It's not how much, it's not when to charge, it is what to charge for. What should be the simple common denominator of our pricing, right? So when you think about this, you can start with framework, right? I am a consultant myself, so I think only in 2 dimensions. You will see a lot of matrices here. So when you think about core value metric, the first thing that you should ask yourself is like value. How tangible, how concrete is the value that I am creating for my customers? The second one is how big or direct is the contribution to their success. Simple as that, right? And then when you think about this, the more tangible is the value and the higher is the contribution to the success, theoretically, the more you can charge, right? So let's imagine the simple scenario here. So let's say you as a B2B company, you want to increase the profitability of your customers, which means that you can either increase their revenue or decrease their costs. And let's see that you are on the revenue uplift side and you are creating the value of 500 USDs, right? So you create the value of 500 USDs, right? So in case your value is, you are contributing a lot and your tangibility is high, you can charge more. This exercise is called value sharing, right? If it's a bit less, right, of a contribution or the tangibility, then you can charge a bit less. And then if it's a very low tangibility, again, you can take a bit less value. So how come this is important when it comes to core value metric? Simple as that. When you think about this, we used to live in the world when we were installing the software on the premise of the customer, which means that customers were actively involved in developing and using the product, which means that our contribution and our concreteness of the value was quite low. Then we moved into the cloud, right? So we were operating the software and just customers were using it. So contribution and tangibility was a bit higher. Then we moved into the usage. So every time you use, the customer and I as a customer will pay. Again, tangibility and contribution a bit higher. And then right now with AI, companies are starting to charge for work or output or even for the success What does it mean? It means that we can prove that we contributed to the value much more, and the tangibility of our solution, it is much higher if we are using those core value metrics. And of course, this is just a theoretical framework, and you can understand those metrics as an advancement from starting and with licenses and finishing as an ROI as a service at the end. But there is also tons of examples where you can see those things being introduced in action. So we've created the database of more than 150 pricing pages to understand what AI and SaaS companies that are adding AI to their current subscriptions, what they are charging for. Then we took into consideration 7,000 pricing pages, and we've realized that this theoretical framework also has the reflection in action. So if you think about charging for user, comparing apples to apples based on the big sample that we're currently having, we might see that customers or companies that are using beyond user, that are a bit more creative with their charging, on average, they can be more expensive. That's true. The hypothesis behind this is the framework or matrix that I've showed you in the previous slide. Change number one, no new core value metrics are feasible. Change number two. So we are moving to the right-hand side of this beautiful, or maybe a bit not a bit ugly, not that beautiful slide. And on the right-hand side, you see multi-layered pricing architecture. What does it mean? So before, when you think about this, most of the companies were approaching the pricing in a very simple way, right? So there was a pricing model, and you were scaling either on the number of core value metrics or by the advancement of the solution that you were delivering to your clients. So the features that you were giving access to. Some of the companies were scaling both on value metrics and features. Nowadays, the paradigm changes quite a bit. So at the very beginning, we have the product serve SaaS base fees for the access to the service, right? This most likely stays the same. Then with AI features, we see that more and more companies are actually charging separately, either for add-ons or other packagings that AI allowed them to have. Then there are also an AI layers for access or for usage added on top of it. So what we can see is that from the very simple pricing architecture with AI, we are moving to something that we called multi-layered pricing architecture, right? So how you can imagine this, that before it was looking like with the standard value metric, good, better, best pricing features, that was an old school playbook. Right now we are moving into base fees, good, better, best features. Then we have cool add-ons on the top. Then there is new value metrics, as mentioned before, possible. And then there is also an AI on top of the current model, right? And we see this in practice, right? So within the database that I've shared with you, you can see hundreds of examples like that. But Loom shifted an AI to premium, then Pipedrive raised prices when they've added AI to more base plans. And maybe, just maybe, if there is someone from Pipedrive here, maybe you can confirm. But I have this gut feeling that with the new update to Pipedrive pricing, when their limited number of leads and deals within plans, they will be slowly moving to the usage-based pricing. Can you imagine CRM being on the usage-based? Interesting, right? I don't know if that's true, but my hypothesis is that they are slowly and will be gradually moving towards more usage, right? So change number two, multi-layered architecture. And then out of change number two, which is 4 in this graph, we are moving to the fifth one, which is the last for today. So add-ons monetization, right? So you might consider and know this graph from the past, from the old AI SaaS playbook. And this is the graph of the preference and willingness to pay. Preference, what my clients would like to have. Willingness to pay, what they are willing to pay for. Not necessarily two same things. You want to have an alarm in the car, but you will not pay extra for the car it has an alarm, right? High preference, low willingness to pay, somewhere there. Cars differentiate themselves through engines. Engine high preference, high willingness to pay. Why this is important? Because this is how you should differentiate your plans if you have, for example, good, better, best pricing. But also there are features with low preference and high willingness to pay. Going into the car example, it can be a leather seats, no matter if you're driving 100 horsepower or 500 horsepower, still you can have a leather seats, which is low preference and high willingness to pay, right? And what we see is that most of the companies will actually start, or should, maybe not will, but should start their monetization AI journey through adding AI as an additional layer, as an add-on to their current pricing. So how you can imagine this? You can imagine it as a circle of AI feature, right? So we've developed something new. This is a new feature. By the time we are having 10% of our clients using this feature, we will introduce it as an add-ons, right? So this is something new. We want to test it if there is actually preference and willingness to pay behind this. If there is, if you see 10, maybe 20% of people in your company, in your clients using those features, maybe it's getting popular, so you can increase average revenue per user in your software through adding this feature to the most premium packaging you are having. Then once the competition has caught up, once you have more and more people using it, you can already treat it as a market standard. You add it to the base packaging in order to increase general conversion to your software. And once everyone has it, since the world is quite dynamic nowadays, you can put it into the trash land. So stop actually advertising it, right? So we see that this circle is getting more and more popular nowadays. And when you think about this, important part about AI and pricing is that you can stop actually working on this feature at any point in time, right? You should treat the pricing as a process. And if you see that people are actually not using it or don't find it that it pushes the needle, maybe, just maybe, it's worth to stop before burning money, right? And we have seen this already in the multiple, by the way, this is where this graph is from, blink, blink. But we have seen this in multiple product approaches already, for example, when it comes to innovation, right? So the key message here is you don't need to kill your entire monetization model while trying to be part of an AI hype train. Try pushing them via add-ons, right? And unfortunately, we see also the same research that we've conducted, that only 20 to 25% of SaaS companies having any AI features and having any add-ons in general. And we see that actually having an AI product, comparing, of course, again, apples to apples, we see that average prices of companies that do have an AI are on average higher from 28 to 39%, depending on the price of the plan, right? So you can see this on the right hand side, right? So what we know so far, right? First part of my wonderful, I hope, presentation. Output and outcome metrics bring more value, hence higher prices, right? We see that already. Multi-layered pricing architecture is leveraged by more and more companies, and add-ons are a good way to start testing your approach, right? So we see how the market is fluctuating nowadays. Of course, there's more, but I think those three things are the most important when it comes to pricing in AI. So the good question is, okay, great, we know what's changing, but how to do it? So when you think about this, I came up with, of course, what else? Four stages framework. And let's start from the very beginning. So at the very beginning, when you are considering an AI feature, you need to set yourself at KPIs and understand the use case, right? And there are a couple of use cases, but three, from my understanding, are the most popular nowadays. So first of all, catching up, right? So everyone has it and you need to catch up because your clients are already churning because you don't have an AI feature that is doing something, right? So if you're catching up, most likely that won't be a monetization potential, and it will be hard to make some crazy mambo jumbo that will push your revenue hard while doing that, right? The second use case is this AI feature is actually adding more value or extra revenue, right? Like intercom with FinAI, right? They've added like the FinAI, this thing is resolving tons of challenges that people are having via intercom. So you can have actually understand or define your use case. I am delivering more value, hence I would like to have an extra revenue from the AI. The third thing, which is also quite important, maybe again, just maybe Pipedrive with their usage-based model. I'm not sure if they are doing that, but what I see a lot with my clients is they want to test, maybe vice versa. They want to change their monetization model for usage, for output, for outcome, but they already have 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 200 million ARR, and the stakes are quite high. So turning your model 180 because AI is coming might be not the smartest strategy to take. Maybe you should treat pricing as a process and test it on the add-on basis if your customers are good with usage-based pricing, if they understand what outcome is in terms of pricing, etc., etc. So you can test it in order to understand if the core monetization model can be switched towards the things that are currently popular, and they are popular because they can enable companies to have higher prices, and higher prices means higher profitability, right? So I would say that if you're pushing the needle, if you're adding more value with your AI, or if you want to test some new pricing model, this is a good use case in order to push for AI pricing. So you know your KPIs, you understand what use case you want to come up with. The second one, choose your core value metrics, right? So the most important thing at the very beginning, right? So when you think about this, of course, if this is super important for you, if you want to leverage market research, you can ask your prospective clients what they are willing to pay for and what core value metric they would like to pursue, right? So step number one, conducting the primary research. Nevertheless, you might be small, it might be not necessary for you, it might be too early for you. So you can come up with the framework, right? So when you think about your core value metric, there are 5 potential assessment criteria that you might use while deciding is this core value metric good or not, right? You can see them in the screen. I will not deep dive on that one. This is not the idea behind this presentation, but maybe, just maybe, you already know that you would like to charge for the things that are quite hot nowadays, right? And those things are output and success. So let's take this assumption. I want to go with output, or I want to go with success. So the big question is how to do it, right? And of course, this is right now a bit scattered, but what I want to put here is that output is our success is not for everyone. If you are very far for delivering the value, it's not very tangible for you, and you don't have that much of a contribution to the client success, most likely classical value metrics are more suited for you, right? So very important, output or success, not for everyone, but if you are close to value, if you are close to contribution, if you're tangible, then it might be for you. Of course, credits might be a segue in between old playbook and new playbook, but let's leave it for later, maybe for questions. So we have an output and we have an success, right? So let's think in terms of the output first. So when you think about the output, in my eyes, you have 2 models within output-based pricing. So you deliver some work. So on the left-hand side, there is a passive model, right? Passive model is where you are charging every time when the output is delivered, right? You have an enforced shield example here. They're working with infringements, and every time you report an infringement of the content that you are producing and they delete this infringement from online, they are charging you $149, right? You have also an active model where you are just giving an unlimited outputs to your clients, right? So in the passive model, most likely what you can do, there are two things. The first thing is just take the cost that you are having on this usage and then put the usage margin on it. This is a very simple cost-based scenario. Then of course you can increase in time. What I hear is that the margins of AI companies are 60 to 80%. So don't quote me on that, but maybe you can use it on the benchmark. Of course, you can also understand what is the percentage of value that you are creating and just take this percentage of value from your clients, right? So output passive model. The passive model advantages is you will not certainly lose, right? So you add to profit to the costs, and every time actually people are using it, you are getting money, right? The minus behind this, and this is a kind of a prepayment, right? People need to believe that you are capable of, for example, taking out this infringement from online, so the adoption might be a bit harder for you, right? So maybe you think that active model is for you, so you just give unlimited usage of this output, but AI has a cost, right? So it's great for you because predictability of your costs for end clients are not that high, right? In the passive model, unfortunately, it might turn out that they can't plan it in their budgets, right? So predictability is not there. If you have it open for everyone at the same price, especially important in enterprise sales, predictability is there. Nevertheless, in your company, you don't have predictability, right? Because customers can overuse it, and then you have a problem because you might find yourself in a negative margin situation, right? So most likely this tweet from Sam Altman when they were losing money on their new subscription, and if you don't have like a 6 billion runway, most likely you can't be necessarily in this situation, right? So how to think about predictability, how to make sure that you are not losing money. So there are three things that you can do. First of all, to understand the prospective usage of your customers, you can ask them to predefine the usage. It will give you at least some ranges, how much they can use within unlimited plan. The second one, if you are charging them for 100 usage, for 200 outputs, whatever, you can true them up if they are overusing your software, right? So if you find yourself in the negative margin situation. Does it remind you of anything? True ups, right? This is how the electricity prices are working. This is how taxes are frequently working, right? So you predefine some usage of the heating in your apartment, and then every year they are truing you up if you are overusing it, or if you are underusing it, they were actually truing you down. I'm not sure if this is even a word. Anyway, I think you understand. And the third thing, it's a fair trade usage policy. And what is the fair trade usage policy? Big news. If your friends have an unlimited data plan in your phone, or if you have an unlimited number of calls, minutes that you can take, it is not unlimited, right? So if you would like to call me at the 1st of November and then be on the phone with me for next 30 days straight, you can't really do it, right? So frequently, I'm not a lawyer. Nevertheless, what I see frequently and rules behind using the software is that unlimited is not really unlimited, and you can see the example on the left hand side, right? So frequently companies are putting the unlimited threshold at the negative profitability side, right? So customers will not provide them with the negative revenue, right? So fair trade usage policy, also quite strong argument. Okay, the last one is success, charging for success, right? So if you're decreasing work hours, if you're making someone's money back, if you're increasing revenues, most likely success is for you, but it's not for everyone. If you're far from value, don't use the success. The most popular success model that you might know is booking.com, that charges you commissions every time that you are making a booking, right? It's been there for quite a while. So if today you don't know how much you should charge for success, also think about a journey, right? Think about, start with some pricing, maybe from the cost perspective, and then increase a little percentage every time you make it. Of course, if you have money for survey, if you want to invest in consulting, blah, 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 this can be predefined. But if you're just in the beginning of your journey, treating this as a process might be a good idea. And then think in terms of booking.com journey, when they've started only charging by the confirmed state, but then they've added finance policies, they added charging for for insurance, charging for no-show guests, yada yada yada, etc. So they've been enlarging their commissions for quite a while to understand and to increase the success-based charging that they have, right? So of course you'll
I'm
find
just going to gently remind of the time because we still want to have some time for questions.
Free last minute then. So
Awesome.
3 things that you should be aware while charging for the success is responsibility. So who is responsible for the success? Retention. So in time, your customers might be not that happy with your software. And time to value. So here are 7 principles when it comes to time to value and how to go about this. I have tons of slides left. Of course, I didn't make it to the time, but understand usage and adoption. This is the thing that you already know. And then scale. There are no slides behind this because with scaling, it really depends on the KPIs that you've set yourself at the very beginning. My name is Chris. If you want to learn more about pricing in AI, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. And in case you need this presentation, please reach out to me through LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris. This was so value-packed, pun intended. I'm sure a lot of people will reach out to you on LinkedIn to get the presentation, myself included. We are soon launching our AI product growth agent. So, you know, pricing AI features is also like super important and topical for me right now. But I will, you know, leave my questions for later and give way to our attendees. We have 2 questions from the audience. The first one comes from an anonymous attendee. It's a little bit loaded. So brace yourself. What do you think of companies disguising their pricing from dollars into credits or tokens, etc.? So it looks like the company makes most money the least effective, yet the more sticky the product is.
So first one, credits, right? So when it comes to credits, I'm not a fan of changing, you know, one currency to the other currency, right? So if you have a point solution and you are just solving one use case, like infringements, most likely having this in the credits fashion is, I think, enlarging or prolonging the customer journey, and not the funder, but of course I've seen this working in point solutions. I mean, rather think in terms of the output and success. And my honest opinion, I will be very straightforward. Nevertheless, if you have a very big solution that has tons of use cases, and you know, it might be one use case for pricing professional, the other use case for sales professional, the other use case for procurement, having token as a common denominator and as a segue in between current model to success and output might be a very good good path to follow. So I would say not for everyone. Again, point solutions, I haven't seen this working very well. In more complex solutions with complex use cases, this can be a good denominator, but then the art is, you know, how you denominate credits, how credits stick with you, for how long they are with you, etc. So that's my takes, but I see this more and more company using credits as a bridge between current model and new model to come.
I think that was a slight dig at Lovable, probably, or you know, other credit-based SaaS tools using
I'm
AI.
not a fan in general, you know, of looking at this, like, you know, you're 5 to 10 to 20 million ARR companies. I'm not really always a fan of taking this, you know, big giants as a go-to model, because typically those are outliers. And yeah, great, worked for Clay, amazing, right? But we're at 2 million ARR, and like, you know, it's like starting an e-commerce shop and thinking, you know, how to be an Amazon, right? Most likely, no, it's been a journey for them, right? So yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then there is another one from Servas. We are an AI tool that has volume-based pricing because of volume-based cost. what is the best way to price the volume of AI usage to a customer before you know what the exact volume will be? And I think you partially answered it in the fragment about setting these, like, reach out options and
yeah, so I think true ups number one. So, have an open discussion with the customer, predefine it for them if they need transparency, and then true them up after a quarter, month, a year, depends on your cost runway. Number one. Number two, when it comes to volume-based pricing, I would say this requires also volume discounting, right? So I would structure this in a way that you total or LTV, you maximize the LTV of the client, but you make it conversion a bit harder, right? So you can increase the prices of the first usage or like minimum usage, and then gradually the more they use, the less they pay, right? So it is frequently, and by the way, friends, those model has been there, like, you have retro rebates / kickbacks, like in traditional retail, we have seen it, and I think that this is how you should also understand the volume-based pricing, right? So you incentivize more and more usage. You're trying to, take as much as possible from your customer in time, and you rather prioritize long-term than short-term. But of course, also always, I don't play it depends card. I hate it because it depends, but it depends what is your current goal. If it's like getting to market as soon as possible, then I mean, increasing the barrier of entry, not a good idea. But then if you think about, for example, profitable, efficient growth, then volume discounting while making a conversion a bit lower might be also a go-to model for you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris. We need to wrap up because we're over time, and we have another talk starting very, very soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Again, Chris is open to your questions on LinkedIn, and we're running to the next talk. Thank you so much again. Have a great one. Bye.